Are Arsenal about to become the weakest champions in a league that, in the mainstream media's eyes, is becoming more and more boring? Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. Today's video is going to centre around that very question being asked after the events of Game Week 22 of this past weekend. The mainstream media has sparked this debate about whether or not the Premier League is becoming more and more boring, and whether or not Arsenal are about to become the Premier League champions of a boring league after they were titled by the mainstream media as being potentially the weakest champions, should of course they go on and win the title this year. This, of course, follows the events of Game Week 22 that occurred this past weekend, in which we saw the 17th goalless draw of this season play out at Molineux between Wolves and Newcastle, as well as Arsenal stretch their lead at the top of the table to 7 points over second place and third place, Manchester City and Aston Villa. We're going to be talking about this question. We're going to be talking about the mainstream media's debate and all of that kind of stuff. But before we get into all of that and much more, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you are new. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated. And of course, I encourage you all to get involved in the comment section down below. Use and abuse that section, people. Talk to me on this story, on this talking point, on this conversation. Give me your thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, that I'm sure will make for great interesting reading, because obviously they're from you, so of course they will be. And without further ado, we're going to be getting on with the conversation ourselves. We're going to be talking Arsenal, the Premier League, and everything else in between. So let's talk the Arsenal debate, because I find this one particularly interesting. I'm going to attack this one from a fan point of view first and foremost, because I just want to get this out there and get this off my chest. It's beautiful in a way how the tables have turned on Arsenal fans, especially from the perspective of being a Liverpool fan. Last year, when Liverpool were running away with the Premier League title at this stage of the season, Arsenal were chasing. Liverpool were beating every obstacle that was put in their way, and Arsenal were the ones that were stuttering every so often. A lot of Arsenal fans were jumping on this bandwagon of Liverpool are weak champions. You know, it's only because we've fallen off, it's only because City have fallen off that they're becoming champions. You know, trying everything in their power to water down the potential achievement that season of Arne Slot and for Liverpool. And I guess you could say that after a year, maybe some Liverpool fans are also being hypocritical in the sense that they ignored and said that that's obviously not true. But then obviously now that the tables have turned, they're probably saying the same thing to Arsenal. So there may be a bit of hypocrisy on both sides there. But obviously I from a Liverpool perspective, and from my own perspective I see it being Liverpool being great last season and obviously beating everything and anything that was put in their path towards becoming Premier League champions as a fantastic achievement. In the same way that I'm seeing Arsenal do the same thing. You can only beat what's in front of you. It's not Arsenal's fault that everybody else is stuttering and faulting elsewhere. You've just got to do your job. And if you do your job, then success will find you. And you will find success. And that's exactly what Liverpool did last season. And it's what Arsenal are doing this season. But certain sections of both fan bases obviously are being hypocritical in that aspect. I personally don't see it as Arsenal being weak champions. I mean, who cares really if you are champions? Like, you ended up winning it doesn't have like an asterisk next to your name of being only won it because no one else really challenged. Like, I know a lot of fans do that. A lot of fans still see Liverpool's COVID title as you know, something that should have an asterisk next to it. Same with obviously last season, with obviously no one challenging and people calling it the PGMOL season in what is either stupid, ridiculous, nonsensical banter, and I use the term banter lightly, or just rival fans being bitter. this season, obviously, it's the turn of Arsenal. And, I hope that Arsenal do eventually bottle it, because their fans are unbearable right now when they haven't won anything of major note within the past few years. Imagine what they're going to be like when they actually do win something, and they're going to be even more unbearable. But if they do win it, fair play, full credit to them, and obviously they truly deserve to be known as champions for at the very least, this current season. But to diminish and try and water down their accomplishment before it's even really begun, of course, there's still plenty of time, there's still a lot of time in which a lot of things can change. To try and water it down before it's even really happened is something that I find stupid. I know that obviously the mainstream media are kind of dreading it because they've kind of been beating down Arsenal whilst they've got the opportunity to do so, when obviously Arsenal have been in the mud for the past several years. And now that obviously Arsenal are on top again, it's kind of like, they can't really stand it, the mainstream media. I kind of get that to a certain extent. I do feel like every fan base sort of gets it at certain points, but I can understand why Arsenal would feel that way for the most part. I look at it and I go, weak champions or not, Arsenal are still champions. Last season, Liverpool got that tag. This season, Arsenal are getting that tag. Both sets of fan bases have sections that are going to be hypocritical. Certain sections are going to be true to their word on both accounts. I myself seemingly pride myself on being truthful on both accounts. I said last season, it doesn't matter what the mainstream media is saying, it doesn't matter what rival fans are saying, Liverpool are deservedly champions, and no one can take that away from them. In the same way that if Arsenal go on to lift the Premier League's title, then no one can take that away from them as well, regardless of the competition, because Arsenal, at the end of the day, did their job. Who the hell cares? Who the hell cares? And then you move on to the debate about, okay, so Arsenal are Premier League champions, but is the overall league becoming boring? And I think there is a level to this argument that I kind of agree with. I think there is an element of that kind of story that there is some truth behind. And I was even saying this last season, by the way. So this isn't something new just because Arsenal are top of the league and Liverpool aren't. I was saying this last season that whilst I agree that Liverpool are champions in their own right and Arsenal possibly soon will become champions in their own right because they did their job, that's not to say that the league that we pride ourselves on watching, the league that we watch religiously, known as the Premier League, hasn't become somewhat repetitive, somewhat a little boring, a little plain in recent years. Because I was saying last season that I think there is an element of the league being too systematic, being too robotic. I think Gary Neville said it last season as well, that is the case with the Premier League. There's not as much individual talent and individualism and innovation as there once was in England's top flight division. We're so used to seeing players that would stand out from the crowd of years gone by, that would create moments of magic out of nothing. And then over the past many years now, it seems as though those moments have dwindled a little bit. They're still there, but they're not there as often as maybe what they should be. Which is why when we see, for example, Fulham equalise in the dying stages of the game against Liverpool with that incredible 40 yard strike or whatever it was from, I forget his name, but it was an incredible strike. I do apologise for forgetting his name. We wax lyrical about it so much because we don't really see that a lot. We see it as moments of desperation in games where, maybe they've tried everything to break a team down and they just go, to hell with it, I'm just going to have a strike from 30, 40 yards and whatever happens, happens. Or we may see it in moments where a team is winning by 4 or 5 goals and we just see a defender pop up and go, you know what, we're already winning by 4 or 5 goals. I'm just going to have a strike from 30, 40 yards. Oh, look at that, it flies straight over the bar. We see it sporadically. We don't see it as often as what we should, which is why when we do see it now, we go crazy over it, because that's what we want to see, that's what we like to see. And it's not up to the teams to be the great entertainers. You know, their main focus is winning. They obviously are there to do a job and to win a game, and they are to win that game by any means necessary. They're not there to be the great entertainers. If they can entertain and win at the same time, fine, fair enough. Fantastic for the crowd, fantastic for obviously their supporters, and for neutrals that are just watching the game. But for the most part, they are just there to win games, and that's where I kind of get the element of win by any means necessary, especially in the modern day and age where you see most teams now play a set way, a certain way, a repetitive way. And more teams are falling into that category of playing a similar style. One thing I used to love about the Premier League was that it combined different styles from different managers from all around the globe. Like, you would get the likes of your old school Sam Allardyce's, Sean Dyche's, Steve Bruce's. You get the old school kind of approach, but then you would get the new school kind of approach. You get a Jose Mourinho, an Arsene Wenger, a Sir Alex Ferguson, and then of course into the modern era, you get a Pep Guardiola, a Jurgen Klopp, Mikel Arteta, whoever. You get a combination of all of these managers going head to head, and sometimes the styles would clash and they'd be different, and sometimes the styles would be similar. And it would be an interesting battle week to week, every single game week. There'd be different things to consider. Now I do feel like it is becoming a little repetitive. Now I do feel like it is becoming a little boring. I do feel like data analysts and numbers and statistical analysis and data and all of that kind of stuff is all overshadowing the overall entire product of it. Which is why lots of teams are just falling into this category of, well, anybody can do a set piece if they work hard on it. Anybody can do this if they work hard on it. Anyone can do long throw-ins or go long ball. How many times have you seen a kickoff where it goes back to a defender and the defender just lumps it long? How many times have you seen long throw-ins this season, and how often are they being under the microscope this year? How often have you seen set pieces take centre stage? Because everybody can do it. If you work hard enough on the training ground on those kinds of things, everybody can do it. So it is becoming repetitive and somewhat boring. Styles used to clash all the time, or styles used to be similar for 1 or 2 game weeks here and there, but then for the most part, it used to change. It wasn't like La Liga, where the majority of teams play tiki-taka. It wasn't like Germany, where majority of teams play Gegenpress, or Italy, where they adopt a more defensive style of approach. You know, It used to clash, and it used to bring out the best in individuals, and it used to make those individuals go, you know what, I'm going to take this game by the scruff of the neck and I'm going to go and win it for us, because it isn't happening elsewhere on the pitch as a team. I've got to take responsibility. That's where I think the game is lacking, and that's why I think it is becoming a little bit more boring, a little bit more repetitive, a little bit more robotic, systematic than what it has in recent years. So I can understand that personal element of it. That's still not a knock-on effect on Arsenal, by the way. Arsenal are doing their job, and they're doing their job well enough to obviously be 7 points clear at the top of the table. But of course, this debate all stemmed from at the weekend, the 17th goalless draw of the Premier League season so far playing out between Wolverhampton Wanderers and Newcastle. It's the 17th draw of the season so far, more than all of last season that only had 16, and we're only in January, we're only in game week 22, so we've still got 16 game weeks left of the season. So I do think it is something that we need to maybe look at, but I don't necessarily think there is anything that we can do, barring major monumental rule changes that would change the game forever. So I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued to know what you guys are thinking and feeling about this. Like I always say, these are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of any of the talking points that I talked about here? Do you think Arsenal are going to become the weakest Premier League champions in history? Personally, I think that's a load of BS in my opinion. And do you think the Premier League is becoming very repetitive and very boring? Let me know what you guys are thinking and feeling down below in the comments section. Otherwise, hit the like button on the way up if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you are new or want to see more content like this. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks video, and I will soon speak with you all again soon in another video or live stream or whatever it may be. Cheers guys, thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves, enjoy the rest of your day. Speak to you all again very, very soon.